Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and today we are chatting with Lucas Vagner, creative director for Nordic Pirate Games. Nordic Pirate Games was founded in 2018 by four board game enthusiasts, with their debut game, Lying Pirates, The Race for the Pirate Throne, which is currently crushing it on Kickstarter. Lucas, welcome to the binge. How you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm very fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I saw this game on Kickstarter, and I always love it when I see a game that just kind of stops me in my tracks, right? And it was the cool fact of I didn't know anything about the game. Obviously, when there's pirates, that just gets me excited right away. But man, this looked super cool. We're going to get into it on this podcast. But before we get there, this is your first game that you guys are launching. How long have you been thinking about doing board games? Is this something you've been thinking about your whole life? Or, when did you kind of get the idea to start doing games?
First of all, big thanks for having me on the podcast. And well, about board games, who hasn't grown up in one way or another with board games?
Yeah.
So I mean, same in my life and my friends that are also creating this game. Well, I think I intensely started to play board games like let's say, in my early 20s with my friends. When we bought more advanced or more, not the typical classic titles like Ticket to Ride and such as Settlers of Catan and those, that we started to explore other titles than that. So I think the idea of a board game is just came around after a while when, you've seen a couple of mechanics and discovered different things and so on. And then my mind is just being super creative and tried to slowly puzzle together one way or another a concept for a game, and eventually we got to where we are today.
Did you have like a gateway game that you were that really got, like when you say that some of the classics like Catan and Ticket to Ride, I almost look at those as like the beginning of the new era, right? For me, classics is like Risk and Monopoly and Sorry and these types of games, that were back in the 70s and 80s. But you're talking the next generation. And if that was classic for you, what was that game that took you now into kind of the more, I guess, deeper understanding of gaming and more complex mechanics and things like that?
I mean, I would say, I agree with you that like Monopoly and Risk are the true classics, like the real veteran hardcore titles. But
Yeah.
then again, in my world, like the new generation classics would be like the Settlers of Catan and similar titles.
Yeah.
But I've played a lot of like board game, tile laying games such as Carcassonne.
Okay.
I've also fell in love with the Isle of Cats, Raccoon Tycoon, and I mean, just a bunch of different fun titles throughout the years. And I think what it all distilled down to is like my mind just putting together different mechanics that I've encountered in all these different games, and
Yeah.
just putting it down in a big pot, and then you just take out bits and pieces at the time.
Sure. Now you're joining us from Sweden, which is
Yeah.
super cool. So thanks for picking a time to work for the two of us. I know it's getting late there as well. What were you doing before board games? Like, do you have a day? Oh, obviously, you must have a day job. Or you're doing something while you're kind of doing this on the side, given that this is your first title. What's kind of what's Lucas do when he's not board gaming?
So, thanks for asking. Prior to this, I've had two different companies making manufacturing products in Asia.
Oh wow.
So it's not my first time manufacturing products, which is I'm very thankful for having that experience since before. And I want to mention a really funny thing that it ties everything together. So my first venture or company that I had, we manufactured an outdoor product, and I was in China 2018 for a product development trip. And while I was there, my suppliers and the people I were with, they taught me how to play liar's dice or Perudo, which is the core bluffing
Yeah.
slash betting mechanic in our game. They taught me that in April 2018, and I was just super stoked. And I was like, "Oh, this is so fun! It's so simple." But then, in Asia, we played it as a drinking game mostly. When I got home, we couldn't continue drink every time we played it. That would make us alcoholics.
Yeah.
But so we I come from a group of friends that enjoy to make a little bit extra for like the parties and gatherings that we do.
Sure.
So Halloween 2018, that was the very, very first iteration of this pirate themed liar's dice inspired game.
Yeah.
So that was the very, very first yeah, pirate themed mechanic that we did. And since then we started to, just build on top of it.
Sure. Did the decision to do Kickstarter, was that always there from the start, or was the idea to come up with kind of a cool game first, or like was that always part of the plan? Or
That's a really good question. I mean, I'm a Kickstarter lover since
yeah,
ages ago, and I've been backing projects for many, many years. So of course I know the power of Kickstarter and building community and so on, and having a bit of experience of doing e-commerce and manufacturing products. I thought that, that's such a cool way to realize one of many projects that I have in mind. And I'm very interested in system making systems, building systems to be able to scale up my ideas, basically. So that's where my drive comes from. Is I think that I don't care too much about what the obstacles might be, or actually
sure.
I don't think about them. I have to solve them along the way. So it's and Kickstarter has been just something I wanted to experience, I guess.
I imagine there was a level of confidence that probably came with the fact that you'd already had some experience with sourcing in China and manufacturing and, putting projects together. Often when I talk to developers or new publishers, there's usually a skill set you can pull over, right, from somewhere. No matter what you do, there's something that in your day job, whether you're a teacher or an engineer, a person who just likes art, there's usually something you can pull over. And, having the manufacturing side as kind of that backbone is going to be quite handy. Of all the skill sets to have, that's a real good one to come into the industry with, I would say.
Most definitely. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And then you have a team of 4 people, or is it 4 or 5 people that I saw on your page there?
Yeah, I mean, the core founders were 4, including me.
Okay, and these are just 4 friends,
then,
or?
yeah, exactly. I mean, actually, one of the guys, Misha, I didn't know him when the idea first came around.
Yeah.
I started to know this guy along the way, and he was very impressed about what we were doing, and we are still very impressed about what he is bringing value to the team. He's an excellent guy, and yeah, he's a very important asset for us, I would say.
And when you said there was it the Halloween of 2018 or 2019 when you guys had the first
18,
iteration? 2018.
Yeah.
So that's still like 4 years ago.
Absolutely.
Which is a long time, right? When you think about how fast games are coming out in this industry. Not that 4 years is bad. 4 years is great because it shows that you really iron out a lot of the issues, right? And with subsequent play tests, and in reading your bios, I can see you guys did a lot of play testing on this to make sure you work out, the mechanics and make sure that the playability is constantly there and consistently there. And then allows you to actually create the artwork and all the other beautiful things that we're going to show in a second on this game. But still, 4 years. What was it that really set between then and now? Was it trying to get the right pieces in place to make sure you really nailed the Kickstarter, or is there something else that you guys are waiting for before you picked right now to go with this campaign?
No, I think well, first of all, I just want to mention my other teammates, Max and Michaela.
Sure.
They're also extremely great, and I'm super happy to have them on board. They're doing a fantastic job. But in regards of why it took this long, I would say a couple of things happened along the way.
Mm.
The very first thing, us being, I want to run with projects, and two of the teammates, they're more picky with details, and I'm very happy they are, because we complete each other in that sense, that
Yeah.
I want to go forward. I think if I did it alone, it would be released 2 years ago, but it wouldn't be, I would have maybe done 10% or 20% as good of a job as we did all together.
Yeah.
Then that being said, if they would do it themselves, the game would never be released.
Mm.
So it's a give and take scenario. But then again, throughout so the past 2 years, let's say that the game was probably maybe 85% done 2 years ago. But what happened 2 years ago? Well, something called COVID happened.
Yeah.
And me having experience from supply chain and so on, I just witnessed like, oh, okay, there's stuff going on in the world. One of the biggest freight ships, it got stuck in the Suez Canal.
Yeah.
So, I was just watching and like, my God, are we going to launch a campaign in this time? And yeah, we just also had some really, really unfortunate events, like people in our are very close to us passed away.
Oh,
So
sorry to hear that.
yeah, it was just like a mess, and life happens. But then again, we just wanted to. We've had a strong focus on giving the quality that we want to represent. I
Yeah.
come from a background of quality products, and I would never want to, sacrifice quality in that sense.
It's tough as a designer myself. I have no patience, right? Like I want to get, as soon as the idea is formulated, I want to get it, like some artwork done. I want to get this thing cranked out, and I want to get this like in market as fast as possible. And it's really, really tough to pull those reins back. And it's great when you have that sounding board around you that can say, wait a second, let's take a pause here. Let's look at it a couple more different ways, or maybe we need to adjust this and adjust that. That's a good thing, right? Because you want to make sure the quality's there. And
Yeah.
I mean, our 200th episode, we had Jamie Stegmeyer on the podcast, and when you read his book, and often a lot of his blogs, he'll mention this, that if you delay your campaign, nothing bad is really going to happen, right? But if you launch before you're ready, or if you're not kind of in the zone when you're launching, all sorts of bad stuff can happen.
Yeah.
And very costly things can happen to you, which can be the difference between having a really pleasant experience and having an experience from hell, right? And so good for you guys for kind of pacing yourself out there. I'm going to try to look to you for inspiration, because I have so much trouble just kind of putting that the governor on myself to slow myself down. So with this game, I'm going to show it on the screen for people that are watching either on the replay or live. First and foremost, congrats, man. 400, I'm going to put this in Canadian dollars because it's the only way I can see it, but $442-ish thousand you guys have raised on a goal of 32,000. That is just an incredible accomplishment. So first and foremost, congrats on that. That is amazing.
Thank you so much.
When I look at the game, the artwork really, really pops, and I'm sure this is something you guys put a lot of thought into. What was the plan kind of from the outset in kind of this whole idea of a pirate theme? Was it always pirate themed, or did you have kind of a concept of this kind of liar's dice and finding a way to kind of reinvent that mechanic? What was the plan? Was it always pirates, or?
It was always pirates from the very first, like, drawing board on a piece of paper, and I mean, we all love pirates. It's just such a funny theme. It's a classic, and I mean, it's honestly, now that I've dove into this theme a bit more, people love pirates. It's not only me. It's not only my team. Like there's even, we've had support from a Swedish band called Banished Privateers, and they make pirate music.
That's awesome.
And they brought the game down to a pirate music festival in Germany and played with people. So it's just like, okay, yeah, pirates are definitely a liked topic, and we didn't know this. We just thought pirates are awesome. Let's go
Yeah,
Pirates.
that's fantastic. I mean, I love pirates as well. The one challenge I would say in the board game industry, especially with Kickstarters, is just the number of pirate games that have been out there. And what I found very interesting about this one is, although it's a very common theme, i.e., pirates, the way you put that theme onto a game is quite unique, right? Versus the other games out there. Most games is people sailing the seas and they're moving their ships all over the place. Where this kind of idea of almost like pirates around the tavern table, having a battle of wits in wagers is a cool approach to it. So congrats on that. Can you walk us through kind of the essence of how you play this game or what this game is about?
So, first and foremost, thanks for all the nice words about the game. I would say, like, when we started out creating this game, we wanted to make an immersive game experience. Just as you said, you want to have the people around the table focused on the game. So there's one aspect that we're really proud of having achieved in terms of game mechanics, and I would say that is the game has almost zero downtime. If you pick up your phone and look for 10 seconds, you could be confused and oh my God, what happened? I don't know what's gonna happen. Or you can just lose focus, and that's a bad thing in the game.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing. So I mean, and we wanted to also, well, keep it easy in terms of making it visible. What There are three different phases of the game. It's the betting phase, the sailing phase, and the action phase. We wanted it to be distinctively separate, so you know what phase you're in, and well, to have some different sort of mechanics and gameplay and what to expect and so on, that we just got inspired from other games. So it's all about having a fun time, fooling your opponents, and there's a lot of opportunities to get revenge and so on your other players. So it's I would say I always laugh when I play this game. And that's it's such an important thing that, I mean, I play other games where you have to think more.
Yeah.
You laugh less but think more, and that can be a pleasure as well. But this is, if you're looking to have a fun night, then I would definitely pull this one out.
So let's talk about the mechanic of the betting, because so for those who haven't played Liar's Dice, again, I like to just kind of assume that nobody knows anything about other games.
Yeah.
So for this one, you essentially each have these cups, right? It's like you have your tavern cup with your tavern coaster. My understanding is you put your dice in there. How many dice is there? Is it like 6 or 8 is the number of dice? How many dice you have?
You start off with 5.
5. Okay.
5 per player, but you can increase, and we call them crew.
Yeah.
And you can have up to 10 crew in your cup, so you can win and lose die during the game.
Perfect. So then you shake. So each person basically shakes their cup of their dice. They flip it over, and then they peek underneath, and they can see what kind of what the roll was, right? So maybe they have like 2 3s, a 4, and like a 1, right?
Yeah.
And then they take turns going around the table with their bets, saying how many people around the table in totality, what the number of dice is. So somebody might say, like, I think there's 3 3s, right? So they're thinking amongst their dice and everyone else's dice, there's at least 3 3s or more. Now, the next person has to either up that to say 4 3s, or they can go 4 of another number, 5 of a number, et cetera, et cetera. But you're always having to one up the player before you. And at some point, I guess someone will then either say, I don't believe, I'm going to call you on this, or I think you're lying because I don't think.
Yeah.
And then everybody shows their dice. And then at that point, if the person who made the call is right, and one thing I've seen on the page is that many dice or more, right? So say you say 5 3s. If there's 6 3s, do they still win, that person, or does it have to be an exact number?
No, we have different options. So the most common one is that it has to be the amount you said or more.
Right. Okay.
But there's also one option that we made for our game, that is you steal the previous player's bet, and you bet exactly on what they made. So and then comes, it's a high risk, high reward decision.
Yeah.
But you can save yourself some with some of the action cards. If you have a specific action card, you can save yourself from trouble. So then you're more inclined to, or there's you're encouraged to make those
Yeah.
crazy bets if you have that sort of a action card on your hand.
So if you win the bet, so if you're the person that called the bet and you win, then the person that called you by default loses. Their ship doesn't move, is my understanding, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So
then you've
it's
got
only the winners and the survivors
yeah,
that are moving forward.
and you've got this rectangular board that has these tiles that represent the different spots that go around the board. And I'll show it on the screen there for people that are kind of watching on the replay. And each of these tiles has a different thing that's happening, which we'll get to in a second. But moving around this rectangular board, the person that loses, they stay put. And then is it everyone else gets to move ahead, or just the person that won, or how does that work?
No, it's only the losers stand still.
Okay.
So the thing you want to do in the betting phase is
Yeah.
you just want to survive. That's like the thing. You don't want to you want to push the answer forward because you don't want to lose that part, because then you're missing your chance to move forward on the map.
Right.
The one thing that is good with winning the bet is that you get another additional coin. And for the coins, if you have 2 coins, you can buy more action cards,
okay,
or
yeah.
you can buy more crew if you make it all the way to the end and make 1 lap around the tiles.
So the first phase then is the betting, right? Then the second
Yep.
phase is then what? The second phase is sailing, is moving on the board.
Exactly.
And then each.
And
So go ahead.
yeah, and in the sailing phase, when all the ships have moved, you're determining whoever gets to experience the event from the tile that they're standing on.
Oh, okay.
And you determine that by rolling 8-sided battle dice.
Oh, okay. So you're battling. So there's still a chance you can attack
Exactly.
the other pirates. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so the winner of that swashbuckling essentially gets to get the benefit of that card. And now I think I was reading somewhere some of these cards are bad though, are they not? Like some of the tiles aren't necessarily a good thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have 3 different types of tiles. There are green ones, good ones, neutral ones, or double-sided outcome, or negative ones. So you could potentially affect if you can avoid a bad tile with the action cards put on your hand. So there are just to tie together the sailing phase and the action phase.
Yeah.
The sailing phase, you are allowed to play 1 golden card. And in the action phase, if you have not played a golden card during the sail phase, which could alter the outcome of the events from tiles and so on, you could steal good tiles, you can avoid bad ones and so on. If you have not played a golden one during the sail phase, then you can play both a silver and a gold one if you want to in the action phase.
Very cool.
So that's the two different types of cards, the gold and silver ones.
So the action phase is
are...
essentially you're playing cards from your hand, essentially, right? So
exactly,
and then that can that influence the battle? I think you can influence the battle with those cards too. Can you not, or no?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You can influence a lot of different parts of the game with the cards. So that's what makes when you've played this game 4, 5, 6 times, you really get to know the cards and understand, okay, yeah, I should save this one for a scenario like that. So, and especially when you start to see the connections between tiles, like, okay, yeah, maybe I should save this one. This one could get me out of trouble because trouble's ahead. I haven't passed the worst tiles yet, so I'm going to keep this one for now. So it's all about, like most games, honestly, the first 1 or 2 times you play, you're pretty confused a lot of times. I'm sure like all people can, or maybe not all, but a lot of people can agree.
Yeah.
But once you get into it, then you get really hooked. And especially after those 5 or 6 times, then you really get to know like, oh yeah, this is how I like to play.
Yeah.
And so we want to have those like multi-layer modular variations. Like at one point of time, you might be able to see patterns and make good decisions based upon tiles.
Yeah.
Then you put together like also adding the cards and yeah, some cards are unique. There was only one of them. Most of the cards comes in many. So I might have a card that says that I can recruit more crew to my cup, increasing my influence in the betting phase. Which then if I have more dice in the betting phase than you have, for example, then I would statistically win more times than you.
Sure. I like the idea of this whole modular board too. And again, I'm showing on the screen. The tiles are kind of dealt out at the beginning, and I won't get into the details of it, but there's a mechanic you've built where you're almost drafting tiles, and people are taking turns placing it down. So everyone influences what that board looks like, but it looks different every single time you play, right? Based
Yeah.
on the way the tiles are placed out. Once you get to the end, so the first person, I guess, gets to that end spot, is that kind of the win? But if there's multiple ships getting to that last spot at the same time, then there's kind of one epic final battle, I believe, as well, is there not?
Exactly. So, first of all, it's rare occasions that you would enter all by yourself. It's more
Mm.
common if you play, of course, a two-player game, but a three-player game, then it's more common that you would enter alone. Otherwise, if you're 4 to 6 players, it's very common that you enter multiple ships at the same time, and then you would trigger a final battle, which eventually comes down to having as many crew dice in your cup as possible, because that's the currency that's going to determine the outcome of the game. The more the more dice and or crew dice you have in your cup, the higher probability that you're going to win, and if you end up in the final battle.
Yeah, that's cool. The deluxe version of this game, I mean, you got wooden cups, right? Like, the coasters are. I've got these kind of looks like they're wooden as well. Like, when I compare like a base versus deluxe, this is like super deluxe, I guess is the best way to describe it. How did you guys source all this stuff? Like these cups I haven't seen. I mean, like the wooden. I'm sure it comes from your sourcing
Oh,
background, but your ships are minis in the deluxe version. Although you've got wood shaped meeples in the base game. Is it metal or plastic coins? I can't really tell from the picture, but I mean the deluxe is like ultra deluxe. Did it take you a while to kind of put that together, or?
for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to make the a comment about it. It's bamboo cups,
Oh my god, that's cool.
and yeah, it's 100% real bamboo. Every single cup will be unique, and and they're varnished. They look really cool. Once I got the idea about the bamboo style cups, I just could not let it go. And
Mm.
especially when we got them, though the thing is, I would never ever recommend anyone to use real bamboo cups in a game because they're crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Um, I just, one day I wanted to know, like, how much are people paying for bamboo cups on Amazon? And they're like, you can buy a six pack for 45 to
Yeah.
60 bucks. So just take that into consideration. Like, okay, yeah, maybe not bamboo cups next time, but but yeah, it's definitely making up like this whole immersive experience. And yeah, we just looked at our own playing or board game playing behavior, and I
Yeah.
would say like the titles that we do pick up the most are the ones, or that we lean towards are the ones that have the premium components that feels,
Yeah.
you want to be immersed and be very present with your friends. That's where you play board games. You want to be there. So, and if you're gonna have really thin paper and stuff like that, that won't take you there.
Yeah.
But the really thick stuff and metal coins and things like this, that's gonna take you to that place that I want to be when I play board games. And of course, I don't want to give in any other experience to our community and to the players that are gonna play our game.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. You can tell that you guys have put a lot of care into the design of this game. So this took you 4 years. I'm sure there's other games you're working on. Were you working on these at the same time, or kind of what's coming next? Is there another game coming in short order, or is there going to be a little bit of time between now and then, or what's coming next for you guys?
It's a great question. Um, First and foremost, our strongest focus at the moment is, of course, to get this game to our backers as soon as possible.
Yeah.
It's very tempting to start working on the two other ideas that we have in pipeline. But then again, at this point of time, it's all about the backers. It's all about the community. That's what we want to. They are the ones making this into the crazy reality that we have reached. So, but that being said, the other games, for some reason, it's like a flash coming to me. Yet the other games I've designed in very short amount of time,
Yeah.
and I'm very excited to start playtesting with some chosen people and so on. But as said, we have to take it easy. But it won't be 4 years. I'm looking at 12 to 24 months, depending on if any black swan events or whatever's going to happen.
Do you guys have like a social media account that people can follow that your journey along, both with this game as well as what's going to be coming down the pipe? Or
absolutely. So we were lucky enough to have Lying Pirates free on Instagram, the username. So they can find us under Lying Pirates. On Facebook, they can find us under Nordic Pirates or Nordic Pirate Games. So just search for those, and we'll be able to pop up. And then lyingpirates.com, nordicpirates.com will also take you there. So yeah, that's the easiest way to find us.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Lucas, I want to wish you all the best of success with this campaign. For anybody that wants to check this out, simply go into Kickstarter, type in Lying Pirates. You can find it there. I'm going to put a link in our show notes as well if people want to find it. I will put the caveat out there that I think you're in your like final 36 hours, right? Like there's like a day left on this campaign. So if people want to get in on it, don't wait. If you're listening to this podcast, which is, again, anytime in the next 24 hours, go check out the campaign immediately because you don't want to miss this one out. And definitely check out the creative work these guys have done. It is absolutely a showpiece. All the best to you and your team, Lucas. You take care. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.